here today is the exhibition Hors-d, so which means in English like an appetizer. So it's an exhibition about food and contemporary art. Food is something that can be consumed by your senses. The idea is that basically food is something that is really ingrained in our everyday life. Food and art have been connected together since many years. You can think about the representations of Bacchus, for example, or the 17th century Flemish and Dutch still lifes. For me, it was interesting to see in such a highly complex time that we are right now, so where we have a lot of societal issues like food waste, like waste management, like gender issues. So what does food as a symbol or as a metaphor, what does it mean today to the artists that are really active in the field today? There are Luxembourgish artists here that are represented as Trixi Weis and Simone and Florence Haessler. So they were kind of like the core, and then the idea was to expand it a little bit to not make it a completely local exhibition, but kind of put these practices into dialogue with their neighboring countries, one could say. So we have artists from Germany, from the Netherlands, from Belgium, and from France. The ages of the artists also vary, so we have really more established artists, and then we really do have emerging artists. So this is just a part of the video installation by Verkade. Verkade is an artist that really expresses herself by creating completely her whole universe. And her universe is always a video installation. So in the video she invents a persona and she makes costumes and stop motion drawings, and she films herself in front of the green screen, and she is really incarnating this persona and creating a whole little history around it. And it's interesting, her themes are really how we relate to the world outside us, how we relate to ecology, how we relate to animals. So in the video installation Plague, we kind of follow a story of how a housewife becomes a fly and vice versa. So it's really Kafkaesque. I have tried by comparing different artworks to work with scale. So maybe Trixi Weis, the room we have just visited, Trixi Weis made a very little tiny sugar house, a house that is made entirely out of fondant, so sugar, and it's 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And it's a comment on, of course, addiction, where everybody needs a house, and created a series of very special glasses that are cut in half and that were used as a performance, participatory performance, so you could drink out of them. And then we have this inversion of scale, that the house becomes a really tiny house, like in nearly like in a fairy tale, like Hansel and Gretel. And here with Puck we have diametrically opposite practice, where something really small, like a fry, becomes gigantic in the exhibition space. Then we also have artists that play with facsimile or with trompe-l'œil. So we have Simone, which is a more established artist, Luxembourgish artist that lives in Germany. That is, we are showing her series, the series of photography that she has made for when she was representing Luxembourg in Venice, so for the Luxembourgish Pavilion in Venice in 1999. So it's already a little bit older work. So that was also one point for this exhibition, that we are mixing existing and older work with newly commissioned work. So Chewing in Venice is a series where she really, you could say it's really site-specific, where she built sculptures out of chewing gum, And you might think that it's Photoshop, but it's actually not. So it is a trompe-l'œil. It is a chewing gum on a platform photographed into the landscape, into the urban space of Venice from a specific angle. And so these little chewing gum sculptures become very big on the picture. And maybe to bring it more to actuality, nowadays one can say there is so much litter on the streets and also so much chewing gum that probably we could make sculptures that would be even bigger than Simone Decker's sculptures in chewing in Venice. That's also an aspect here in the selection of the artists or the artworks, is that a lot of the artworks can seem very joyful and very accessible, but a lot of them have another layer of reading. So a lot of them address subjects that are much more societal or personal, but that are not always just very joyful. So I wanted to show a range with the artists and of what is possible. And so we have really from oil painting, young French artist Hugo Lee, that is represented by a Luxembourgish gallery, who is really working with really nature morte, so still lifes, and oil painting, to acrylic paintings of Florence Haessler, a Luxembourgish artist that really also works with trompe-l'œil. So you have the feeling that her canvases are photographs, but it's acrylic paint. We have video from Visser, a Dutch artist. We have great facsimiles, so something that goes also in the tradition of trompe-l'œil, with the French artist Alexandre Lavet, who now is based in Brussels. So we also see how artists living everywhere in Europe and going around Europe when we look a little bit at the biographies of the artists. So Alexandre Lavet actually made beer cans that look like normal beer cans, Jupiler beer cans, but actually it's all about the painting, because they are reproduced perfectly, so that you won't think that it's not a ready-made, but it's not. It's really a laborious work. And now, last but not least, we also have a contribution from a Korean-born German artist, Jieun Lim, who is based in Düsseldorf and who really in her work talks about translation and migration, and this time participates here with a neon sign that says dried squid, cold beer and peanuts, and it's a phrase that is translated from a Korean film, and already by translating it into English there is a lot of context and a lot of geographical meaning that gets lost.